Good evening and welcome to the Arlington Public Schools board meeting. My name is Mary Levesque and I'd like to say thank you for joining us. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Whether you're in person or online, we're glad to have you. We're going to go ahead and start with our land acknowledgement, and Maddie's going to read that for us.
We honor the first peoples of these lands by acknowledging that the area in which we gather is within the traditional territory of the Stillaguamish tribe of Indians. The Stillaguamish people have inhabited these lands and waters since time immemorial, and their ancestors have remained in this territory to this day. The Stillaguamish people have continued to practice the traditional ways of their ancestors of fishing, hunting, and gathering. The Stillaguamish tribe has had these lands and cultural traditions passed on to them by their ancestors who believed that everything has a spirit and that they are caretakers of these lands and waters.
Thank you. Next, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. Micah?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have our roll call attendance. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond?
Here.
Director Kelly? Here. Director Watts? Here. President Levesque? Here. Director Knapp? Here. Student Advisor Van Beek? Here. Student Advisor Phillips? Here. Superintendent Sweet? Here. Thank you. And next is our approval of the agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to change or do a motion to approve the agenda?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I will second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Watts to approve the agenda as presented. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Watts? Aye. President Levesque?
Aye.
Director Knapp?
Yes.
Thank you. The agenda is approved as presented. And next is the presentation portion of our program. I'd like to welcome up Eric DeYoung to help us welcome our new staff members.
Good evening, directors. So we have had a busy summer, hiring lots of different people. We hired our last teacher Friday, our most recent teacher on Friday. So I think we have some slides here of we did not invite all of them. It would have been overwhelming for all of them and all of you probably too. But here's our picture. These are our new certificate staff that we had on at the time. We have one more since this picture was taken. So you can see we have quite a class of 2025 here, incoming class of 2025. Teachers at all different levels, high school, elementary, middle, a lot of special education specialists, so psychologists, SLPs, etc. So we're excited to have them on board. This follows a big class, obviously, of retirees that happened in June. So there we go. And this is our classified staff. We brought them in as well. So we've got some paraeducators, secretaries in that mix, nurses also. So that's a good group of new folks. So look forward to, at some point, you'll probably see them in the buildings. So there we go. That's it.
Thank you. Hello.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, and Eric, how many people did you bring on this year then?
I think we're in, let's see, we had about 30 at our certificated orientation, and our classified, I think we had about 12. And then a couple that weren't, either going from like current year only to continuing that we maybe didn't bring in.
Okay.
So probably we're in the, 50. So
And is that close to a 1-to-1 to what retired, or we added some new?
yeah, it's we did not add.
Okay, so it's,
Yeah, I'm trying to think if where we are up or down from last year overall total staff.
Okay.
I don't have that number, but it's pretty close to even or maybe a little bit lower.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Sounds good.
And classified, same thing. We have pretty much a 1-for-1 on that. We still have a couple of those posted as well for some of our 1-to-1s. We ended up having new students come in or different scenarios we have to hire for to meet IEP needs and those things. So a couple of those still left.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next up is our approval of minutes. There is regular meeting minutes from August 25th and our special meeting event attendance from District Day from August 27th. Do we have any changes? Does anybody have? Is there a motion to approve August 25th?
I will make a motion, we approve the regular morning minutes on August 25th.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Knapp to approve August 25th meeting minutes. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Watts.
Yes?
President Levesque. Yes. Director Knapp.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved. And do we have a motion for our special meeting event attendance district meeting minutes for August 27th?
I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes from district days.
I'll second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Watts for district day minutes from August 27th. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond.
Yay.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Watts.
Yeah.
President Levesque. Nay. Director Knapp. Aye. So those minutes are also approved as presented. Thank you. Next up is our public comment portion of our meeting where public can address the board. Do we have anyone signed up in advance? Is there anyone in the room that would like to use the public comment time to speak up? All right, hearing no one, we'll move on to our consent agenda. There's a few things on the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull anything for further discussion and review? Or do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
It's been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Kelly to approve the consent agenda as presented. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts,
Yes.
President Levesque. Aye. Director Knapp. Yes. The consent agenda is approved. And that brings us to our new business portion with the first item being our opening schools 25-26. Dr. Sweeting.
All right, new school year. 25, 26, with our continuing the All Belong and Learn in APS and Thrive. We've got that emphasis. Opening a school year takes a lot of preparation, a lot, just to, first of all, in June, closing out a year, but immediately then we start planning for the next year. So this just states that it's very intentional what we do to get ready for each new school year. So first of all, hiring new staff. Here's the new staff. That's really important to have staff ready. And the pictures that are taken here were taken at their orientation. So they have a full day of orientation and it's good, very good. Also, to get ready for school to open, we have construction projects, other cleaning projects that go on. And this summer, of course, we had the President's roof and windows and siding repairs and a cold storage unit that is an expansion to the President's. Right now, we have portable cold storage because we're waiting for the final part of the storage new unit to be ready. And the painting, of course. And I wanted to share what the students had said about the new color of President's. It was pretty bright. And so I received these comments of quotes from students. I like the yellow doors. If you haven't seen the yellow doors, you go check out the yellow doors. They're very bright. The blue looks bright and colorful. I really like the blue because it's my favorite color. I like the doors and the blue. Let's paint the bricks too. That's what my said. And then the principal, Jamie Miller, said that she calls it her primary color or President's Panther Party because they're the Panthers. And we also had a student that wanted to transfer into our district that said they wanted to go to President's because of the color of the building. So that. And then SVLC, of course, the board has been keeping track of the update. We had projects there, but they expanded and a lot more work and time and money had to be put into that. But we're getting there. And roofs and new ramps. It's not quite quite there, but almost. And then the pickleball court is really just it's a project, a partnership with the city and with the county. The county actually donated the money and then the city had put in some money with that as well. But they're using a piece of land right next to Howard. So it's a joint partnership. That's not finished yet, but it's in the works right now. Community resource fairs, that means there's things that happen in the community where our community is so generous. Agencies, organizations get together and they provide opportunities for families to get backpacks, all kinds of school supplies, and it's wonderful. This was taken on the National Night Out, so we had a table there as a district to make connections with people. We also attended the Stillaguamish Resource Fair, and there was another back to school fair as well that took place at Howler. So just a lot of preparation, helping students to be prepared with their school supplies and connections. A lot of professional development has taken place this summer. And most of it happens, not all of it, but most of it in August. And these are kind of in the order of how it starts. So the first week in August, we have the cabinet and expanded cabinet getting together, and the next week we have district leadership team. Then we have our orientations for new staff, and then we have the board workshop. And then we have building and department meetings like transportation, food services, and then we have the district day kickoff and building days. So I've got some pictures of some of those. So this is a picture of the district leaders that got together for 2 days. We went up to Eric DeYoung's home, and it was just go up and then come back. It was in Cedar Woolley, and a great time of coming together. The next page kind of shows that we really dug into our collective commitments and talking about how we can really make a difference on student learning and achievement by looking at multi-tier systems of support and our collective commitments. Then the board had their workshop. That was August 18th, and we missed you, Matt, but I know you were out of the country, but it was a good day of learning. You can see behind the board right there, there's some charts. Those are just examples of some charts of data that the board dug into and analyzed. And that was data from the survey results from last year and Voices opportunities. So the board spent over an hour looking at data, trying to identify, what do they see? Do we have questions about? What do we need to make a difference, and where can we take action? So that was a board workshop. Here's district day. This is kind of like the week before school. So 700 staff members, all staff members come to the BPAC, and we come together for about 2.5 hours to kick off the year. And what happens is first we're greeted or welcomed by the Stillaguamish tribe. So we have leaders of the cultural department and the education department from the tribe, and they come, and the last, I'd say 3 years for sure, it might be 4, but at least 3 years they've come and welcomed us to this land. And we have a great partnership. We're very appreciative for that partnership. Then this year, we asked our staff members to bring food to donate. And we had over 803 pounds of food donated to the food bank. And so I thank our staff for bringing that food. This is a picture of staff on the bus. And it was, at the end of the morning, it was probably about 3/4 the way filled with food. So it was awesome. And the picture, it's hard to see her face because the lights are so bright, but that's Carla Rankin. She is the director of the Arlington Food Bank. Yeah, so she was able to come and speak to the staff to tell them how important it is that we as a community support, the basic needs of everybody, but especially our students, because it's very hard to learn who aren't hungry. Then we had our awesome Arlington High School band come on stage and just make us feel like, wow, this is the best place in the whole world, because they are amazing. And it was great. Good music, and they're so talented. And then we had a panel of students, and the panel of students They had selected one staff member, could have been any staff member, that has made a difference in their life. And so they shared on the stage why they selected that staff member. You can see the staff member next to them. And then once we introduced them and we read the great things, how they made a difference, and some people were crying, and it was pretty emotional at times. Then the whole panel, students and staff answered questions about the results from our survey. And so that was great. So that was that's all the prep to just get it the first day, the first week. And so the first week, this is the first day we go out and greeting students. This happened to be a bus run that I went on, and Mayor Vanny and then Commander Mike Gilbert joined us, and that's Kathy. She's a bus driver, and she was so gracious to us, taking us on. It was a Kent Prairie route, and it was awesome. The kids, though, when we got on the bus, the kids were going, what? Who are these adults that are getting on the bus? But it was awesome. And then the next is from Weston. I captured these pictures, I was just.
That's true.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, that picture I took today, and they were just what you can see there is just excitement to be back at school. Next one is kind of a combination of pictures for Arlington High School. So up in the left-hand corner, Marilee Herman is the principal, and I caught her on the day that you can see all this food. No, she's not.
Sampling.
She's not eating all that food, but what she really was, she was, but it was, the food in front of her was made by the culinary arts students. And she was asked to be a judge for the food. And so when I walked in, she was tasting one that you weren't quite sure about, but so that was her task during the first week. And then, of course, we love that, we are character strong, that we believe that we not only need to be, learning, but we need to become good human beings and good people and care about our community, take care of our community. And then our first football game, our first in-home football game was Friday night. These are just some pictures from the game, which was very crowded, very packed. It was, I really don't know, even homecoming wasn't as packed as what I saw. It just seemed packed. And then Howler, they have their, all the students come together. The students in the orange, they are their leaders. So they're their leadership group, and they develop the activities that are going to take place to okay, kids, what are we gonna, this is our new year. And we have host, looks a little bit hazy there, but we went there early, and we've got the counselor out there and the principal, Leslie Olson, greeting students as they came in. And then I caught a bus driver who was so happy to be the first day. And then SVLC, Stilley Valley Learning Center, it's, we're working on getting those, it's almost there. All the portables are almost ready to be occupied. But in the meantime, they've been living downstairs and having student parent conferences downstairs. And so the one picture on the left, my left, is a family that just came in for their conference, before school conference. And then those are two teachers. So they actually said they're enjoying being here, so, but they're ready to go back and get their room set up as well. And then this is Pioneer, just a lot of just happiness, just a lot of happiness, people being back in school and staff included, just happy. This is President's, so you can see the door. It's kind of hard, it's still dark to see that yellow door, so you have to go see that in person, but just happy there as well. And I love the sunflowers that are outside. I always every year I have to take a picture of the sunflowers. They're so pretty. And then we have Kent Prairie. And Kent Prairie, I have one picture there. That's where as riding the bus, that's where it came to deliver the students. So we gave them high fives as they got off the bus. And then staff, there's a lot of staff here, very proud to be KP staff. They have their sweatshirts and t-shirts on, and we have then we have two students that are right in the center there, and that's what it's about, is our students. So that's Kent Prairie, Eagle Creek. Now, if you look over to my right, I had to
My
look,
sign came out on the first day.
I really had to look at that picture for a while, thinking, wow, so they were doing some science work, learning on the first day, and they were dressed for the, the part of engaging in scientific learning. And then you can see that, and now the two older students that you might say, well, do they really go to Eagle Creek? Those are Bethany Belial's, the principal's children, and she sent that picture to me. And I just think it's important because I know her family supports her, in being a principal. And so it was lots of good things there. So great first week of school.
Thanks for sharing. Next up is our approval of our board superintendent team goals for 25-26.
And have those put up.
And this is an action item.
Right, so we worked pretty hard on this, I'd say, at the last study session or workshop. The idea here is that we use the results of our self-assessment. We use, the survey results that we saw, the results from those, and the voices feedback. We also look at where we are with our strategic plan, and we made a few little tweaks. The green are additions to words, because we carried over the same goals, but we tweaked them a little bit. And so I'm just looking for approval from the board for this, and we'll get busy and start working on these goals together.
Any changes anyone would like to make, or do we have a motion to approve the board superintendent team goals for 25-26?
I'll make a motion to approve the board superintendent team goals for 25-26.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Watson, seconded by Director Kelly to approve our board superintendent team goals for 25-26. Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Watts,
Yes.
President Levesque. Aye. Director Knapp.
Yay.
The board superintendent goals are approved as presented. Thank you. We will get right to work on those. Next up, we're going to welcome Gina Zuthorst, our Executive Director of Financial Services, for our financial highlights of our current budget. Good evening.
Good evening. So this is a financial report as of the month of July, having just closed out the month of July. And there's a more detailed report on the consent agenda. So within the board packets, and is a much more detailed report of all the funds for the month as of month of July. So we will dive in talking about the financial health of the district. We have some real good positives, but we also have some very strong challenges. So we'll talk through quickly for the financial positives. Always like to make sure we bring this up in summary. The board, I know, is aware of these things, but any community member or anyone listening in on this meeting for the first time may have the first little bit of exposure to some of what we're talking about here. So I wanted to make sure to mention our community support and how important that is with the educational programs and operations levy that has been approved and voted upon, approved by our community, supported that, and the capital levy, and our community supported that, and that those are very important to school district financial health. Our kindergarten through third grade and fiscal, social, emotional support, PSES, staff ratios, we are compliant with those. So that is an indicator and a measure that we are planning and operating in such a way as that we're in compliance with those ratios. The state has defined some detailed things around certain levels of staffing. So we're in compliance with that. If we were not, the state would penalize us and take back funding. Enrollment growth for the 24-25 fiscal year, after it's all averaged out, we were about 59 students more than we had budgeted for. So that is just a slight little bit of growth, and it does help the district in our finances. Transportation safety net funds, we had not budgeted for these monies, but they were something that we were able to apply for high cost passengers that just that the state was not fully funding districts on the costs for some of those special routes and special high cost things that they had to do in the transportation bus services department. So it wasn't all of it, didn't reimburse us for all of our costs that we are not funded for, but it was a help, a little bit of a help. And then special education safety net funds, we've had kind of a question mark about how much that was going to be. And so I'm jumping ahead a little bit to August, and that now we know it is 1.2 million in safety net funds. Basically, that goes to reimburse us for costs that we have already incurred in some of our special needs students that had extraordinary and unique needs that such as certain placements and programs were high cost. So it's very important that we receive those funds, and it's a lot of work to make the application for that. But our special education department and team and staff are really critical in that process. They know all the ins and outs of that. So 1.2 million is a lot, and it is one of the higher amounts that we've received over the past few years in our history of receiving safety net. Fund balance and OSPI financial indicators score is projected to increase for 24-25. So I've done some estimating, and it looks like that will come to pass. So far, so good. But those are our 24-25 financial positives.
Do you know, what's the lag time between us incurring the cost for special ed funding and then receiving those funds?
The lag time is we start having those costs as early as September and all year long, September, October, November, December. That is something that the legislature has made some adjustments in for next year, for the 25-26 school year, that we may be able to receive some of that earlier on a quarterly basis rather than having to wait till the last day of August to reimburse us for some of those costs. The question, so now our challenges, we talk about this frequently. I think it's important to realize where we are amongst our neighbors and amongst the state, what the horizon looks like for school district funding. And many districts across the state are facing financial difficulty, and again, pointing back to flaws in state funding, the state funding model becoming more and more evident as time goes on. And there's a couple of indicator tools that are used. One of them is from OSPI. One of them is by the state auditor's office. And both of those tools, just looking at financial data, multiple years worth of financial data. We've talked about us for our school district being a little bit low on the OSPI financial indicators tool, but that there's actually 18 other school districts on that same financial warning, whereas 4 or 5 years ago, there was only just a few. So it is tripled in recent years. SAO's financial indicator, financial intelligence tool, also a pretty detailed tool, had 75% of school districts out of the 295 school districts in Washington State that had cautionary or concerning financial indicators. So that's just state funding gaps. Continues to be prominent in the area of special education, transportation, materials, supplies, and other costs. We've made budget reductions for 23-24 and 24-25. Those are challenges. Then we struggled to do those, and then we live with them, and they're still a struggle. Even if it's not in the forefront of our mind of an action that we're taking today, right now, it is still a challenge that we weathered and are living with and living through. And then working to rebuild fund balance. This year and last year, we had to make interfund loans to meet certain cash flow low months obligations during our low months, especially during June. That month especially. I said that multiple times, especially. Federal funding, the uncertainty around that. So we think we're okay for next 25-26, but there was a lot of uncertainty even during the 24-25 school year around federal funds. And we are looking, our sites set another year forward and still feeling a lot of uncertainty around federal funding. So we'll keep track of that and changes along there. I talked about that OSPI financial indicators score earlier. This is a slide that I share off and on during this presentation, just popping it back up before this team to remind us of what a okay score is and what is a put you on financial warning score. And anything below 1.75, and they're using multiple financial numbers and combining them and dividing them and plussing and minusing them to come up with these measures, and it's a weighted measure. Less than 1.75 is considered a financial warning. So for 23-24, our score was 1.5. And for 24-25, I have extrapolated to get these numbers because this is an OSPI tool, but I know how they calculate and how they do the numbers. Have extrapolated a Woohoo score for 2.2 for 24-25. So we are not closed out for the fiscal year yet for 24-25. So it'll be nice to have final numbers so that we can check the box that this is what our score is. And now for our fund balance trend, we always look at this in particular. Now, this is in the detailed report as well in the consent agenda, but this is showing where we are ending at for fund balance as of the month of July. The line at the bottom is 24-25. And where we're at for July, it is beginning to eclipse or become more than where we were at this time last year, 23-24. We were still in a negative fund balance. And in July, for us, we are in a positive fund balance. And we have paid our interfund loans back. So we're working to close out August. It's passed, but we're not done in doing all of the entries for that. And then we will know better where we're at for the fiscal year, which cuts August 31st. But we anticipate that we will be over 2 million for our ending fund balance for the 24-25 fiscal year. And that is showing growth. And we need to continue that trend. Like I said, the interfund loans for the fiscal year have all been repaid. The only thing that's left is a little bit of interest. Well, and actually that's going to be repaid, has been repaid in August. But we're talking about July here. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit to include some of the details that we already know for August. But everything is paid back, fully repaid, and we're still having a positive fund balance. So I leave this slide in here because at times, and especially if you haven't been following any of the history of our school district for 2, 3, 4 years, this gives just a very high summary bulleted list of the conditions that we were dealing with when we began to have a lower fund balance and where that fund balance began to draw down way low, lower than we would need it to be. So just make sure to leave that in there. I'm not going to read or talk about each bullet, but it's a resource for people looking at the presentation or listening to the presentation. So, questions?
Appreciate you keeping us up to date on everything. Next up is our PLC update. We'd like to welcome Carrie Henderson Burke, our Executive Director of Teaching and Learning. Good evening.
So, we're gonna walk down memory lane a little bit before we jump into the PLC conference content and what our building leaders have done with the content since then. But thankfully,
That's
oh, sorry, I can do this. There. Thankfully, the board goals passed because we would have had to bypass this slide and I would have had to say something awkward, but they did pass. So as you know, for the course of this year, we'll be spending some of our time together once a month talking about instructional best practices and how we're continuously working to improve the learning that our kids engage in. So we'll be doing this at least once a month, and thankfully it meets the goals that the board has set for itself. One of the things that I do want to highlight is that we've talked a lot, when kids come and share from their perspective what they're seeing, that's the most powerful anecdotal information that we have. And we are talking about multi-tiered systems of support and universal design for learning and PLCs this year, but the focus will largely be PLCs. It will be hard to find direct student comment on the work that teachers are doing in PLCs. So I just want to prep you for that. We will be creative. We'll work kids in where we can. I just don't know the how yet. So just wanted to prepare you for that. So who remembers the goldfish? I remember the goldfish. What does a goldfish have to do with universal design for learning?
I remember this.
Mary, I see that hand. How is the goldfish connected to universal design for learning?
When your fish is flapping a wing sideways, you don't flush it. You fix the problem.
We fix the problem. And is the problem?
It's a wing, right?
Oh,
No.
it's an appendage.
A thing there.
Are those things?
I do not have fish.
Right. We're not going to automatically flush the fish. We're not going to move the fish to a different goldfish bowl. We are not going to rush the fish to the goldfish hospital for immediate surgery. The first thing we're going to check is what's the environment? Is the water clean? Is there enough food? Is there too much food? Those things that we have direct control of, that's where we're going to start, and that's what universal design for learning is about, right? We have control over curriculum. We have control over the environment that happens in our classrooms and in our schools. We have control over how we engage kids in the learning, how they access the learning, and how they show what they know. Those are the things that we control, and that's what universal design is about. So part of universal design, the reason we started with universal design was it provided kind of a gateway into multi-tiered systems of support. Raise your hand if you remember this graphic. Very, very good. This graphic A's all around. So remember, multi-tiered systems of support is an instructional system. It's not the instruction itself. It's the structures that instruction happens in. So at the base, we have general education classrooms, the universal tier that every child belongs in to the maximum extent possible, right? Core instruction, core instructional materials, UDL at its maximum, if you will. We know some kids are going to need a little bit more support. That doesn't mean it can't happen right here in the gen ed classroom. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But some kids need a little bit more time, a little bit more practice, a little bit more opportunity to process and learn. 10 to 15% of our kids fall into tier 2 instruction, ideally. And then some kids have that more intense need for support. So this triangle represents multi-tiered systems of support, even when it's just a 3-tiered triangle, right? It doesn't need words. It's kind of the symbol that we all connect to. But it's important for us to remember that there's more to multi-tiered systems of support than the pyramid, right? So number one, it's supposed to be effective instruction. And number two, effective instruction is preventative. The idea behind multi-tiered systems of support is the prevention of learning problems before they start. So tier 2 and tier 3 can be those smaller groups of kids. In Arlington, so this is from the Center on Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. These are the components. It's really dangerous to narrow it down only to the pyramid, but that tends to be what's happened historically speaking. So we need to have screening so we know where kids' skills are. We need to have the tiers of support. We need to progress monitor so we know how kids are moving along. And we need to use data to make those decisions. And the foundation is the structure that we provide. In Arlington, for our purposes, hopefully this is a flashback and just review, but these are the 4. We've compressed those 5 components into 4. The assessments, we compressed into 1. So for this year, systems and structures of support are where our emphasis is going to be. And what is one of those systems and structures of support? Say it if you know it. PLCs, professional learning communities, right? So I promise I will have some pictures pretty soon. But PLCs have some really foundational understandings that we as a board and as the leaders need to understand and commit to. Three big ideas. The three big ideas of a PLC are, number one, the fundamental purpose of school is high levels of learning for each and every child. That is why we exist. That's our mission, right? Number two, it takes collaboration to meet commitment number one. Nobody can do this job on their own. It's big, complex system, complex kids, a lot of intense learning. It takes a village, right? And number three, we use data to measure whether or not we're reaching that goal. It's really easy to see, but I worked so hard, or I planned that lesson for weeks before I delivered it. And sometimes that happens, but if the kids don't show that they learned what we wanted them to know, that's what we focus on. Could be a great lesson, it just didn't land well, right? So PLCs focus on 4 learning questions. Every week that PLCs meet, they're focusing on 4 questions. What do we want kids to know? That's a learning standard. How do we know if they've learned it? That's assessment. What do we do if they don't learn it? That's intervention. What do we do if they already know it? That's extension. So when PLCs concentrate on those 4 questions, they cover the learning needs of all kids in the system. So there's that. Okay, so that leads us to the big conference event of the summer, August 5th through 7th. We took a huge group of Arlington crew down to the Seattle Convention Center for a 2 and 3/4 day conference. And one of the things that I loved, I put these pictures up because Jen Coleman is the teacher on the left. She's brand new to our system. So as a new teacher in our system, she got to go to a 3-day conference to learn right off the bat how we do business here. And then you've got the 3 on the right that are giants in Arlington education, right? These are teachers that have been here for decades. And so we had just this huge range of learners and participants there, which was really fun. There's our 45, some of our 45 people, high school folks there with Carrie. We had our lunches together, which was always a good time, but really our lunchtime was our 45 people together in the same general area interacting. So it's not why we attended, but it was really great to get to talk to our peers and get to know each other a little bit and cross school boundaries, and so important. But sessions were selected by teachers, their peers at their buildings. They worked together to decide who would go. This was the I call it the man brain trust. This was a grading session, right? And we were sitting there and all of the teachers from Arlington happened to be men. So I don't know if they planned that because they were outnumbered by women pretty significantly and they needed some man time. I'm not sure, but it was a joy. Again, a huge mix of experience among these 6 men. And so to hear their 2, 4, 5, math is hard. To hear the depth of the conversations that they were engaging in across this broad range of experience was, you know, kind of awe-inspiring. So it's great. We had really strong presence from our building leaders. So one of the challenges of learning at conferences is it frequently doesn't translate into action. It's interesting, engaging. It could be interesting or life-changing in terms of how you think in the moment, but taking it back and doing something with it takes leadership from the building. So it was really important that our principals attended. And this is the SVLC SIP team. So it was a great opportunity for, if your SIP members were there, to get some school improvement planning time in, and certainly a good time for just building relationships with each other. So Hannah and Taryn from Eagle Creek over there. I suspect these 2 might have already had a relationship since they're mother and son, but still a good time to be together. So, and then a great opportunity to say, what are we going to do with what we've learned? So, okay. So there's the conference. At our district leadership team retreat, we had to say, what are we going to do with this? So first we opened up by saying, what did your building teams take away? So principals shared out these items that their teams were really struck with, and spent some time talking about what they learned. PLC Lite, like the Diet Coke of PLCs, is super easy. You can totally miss the mark if you're only engaging in PLC Lite, which means meeting without data, basically. So just a reminder that we have to look at data continuously was a big one. But one of the other things that one of our keynote speakers said, we don't care about buy-in. If you buy in, you can buy out. We're not buying out with PLCs. This is an investment and it's 100% investment, and there it is. So that was kind of a jarring way to think about it. Okay, so that's what building teams talked about. As a leadership team, we developed what are called collective commitments, and that is, what do we covenant to do together to make sure that these things are happening in our building? And we came up with 3 3/4 collective commitments. So the first one is, we commit to this process. There are 7 steps in the process that PLCs should be engaging in, and we're committed to the full process. And really ensuring that the 4 questions form the basis, the agenda for every meeting. Commitment number 1. Commitment number 2, we commit to using a note-taking form that includes the essential questions, that includes data that's looked at, and timely feedback. Note-taking form sounds very small and narrow, but the truth is the note-taking form forms a continuous communication loop between the principal or assistant principal that oversees your team and your team. So it really is an ongoing cyclical process of communication, not just note-taking. The third one is, we'll schedule and support meaningful collaboration time. One of the things that we discovered was that, PLCs happen on average 3 times a month. We usually have one staff meeting, and then subsequent weeks are PLC meetings, but it's really hard to carve out the time as a principal. And so we found that over time, there just kind of been, that decline in principal physically present or assistant principal physically present with teams. And while teams need to be autonomous and operate according to what they're learning from the data and what they know about their kids, they need the continuous support of their administrators present to make it happen, to ask for support, to seek needs, all of those kinds of things. So admin will always be present during PLC time. Admin will sometimes be present for data conversations. If they're happening at every meeting across the board, you can't be at all of them, but we'll aim for some of them, and we will never schedule other meetings. Sometimes it's tempting when your building is quiet and everybody's engaged to go, I've got 14 parent phone calls to make, I'm gonna do that now. But so we're protecting the time. And the last goal is under construction, and that really is looking at data regularly. So we just have to figure out how we're committing to it. Any questions on collective commitments? Okay, so that's what I have for today. I know that coming up soon, since we're doing this once a month, I have some ideas. I'd like to show you what happened on our building days, because our buildings really did focus on PLC works at their building kickoffs. It's plural. So we've got some pictures and some information to share about that. We need to share with you the finished collective commitments when we hammer out the how of the data. Commitment number 4, that'll be important. We're also probably going to engage in some collective commitment work on the part of our cabinet and expanded cabinet, right? So our building principals made those 4 collective commitments. The next question is, how are we as district office leaders going to support our principals in fulfilling that? So we need collective commitments too. And then we'll bring some data cycle information. So the 15-day challenge was a smackdown challenge placed at the PLC conference that at least 3 and probably 4 of our buildings took up the call for. So we'll have some sharing about that. Is there any other component that you would really like to see coming to our next time together or over the course of the year? Yeah, Sharon.
I think it'd be good to make a comparison of what has been done, say, this past year or 2 in terms of PLC time, and now what you're committing to after this 2.5-day conference, and really, giving us data on what we know, what you're doing, and what you've presented. I'm not sure what was done prior to this. So just to contrast that and say, this was worth our time because, and then this is how we move the needle on learning of our students. So that's important to me. Yeah. And I like the word of collaboration. I am interested to hear more about that, what collaboration sounds like for your buildings.
Thanks. Yes. I'd be interested to know what kind of barriers you're noticing as this new new focus starts going, like what kinds of things are going to be planning.
Okay, PLCs themselves.
PLCs themselves, yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I mean, this won't be the last time I ask, so keep thinking on it, but unless there are further questions, that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing back the goldfish.
We will always value goldfish differently.
It's very animal.
Crackers.
Goldfish.
Goldfish crackers.
Caveat.
It took you a little too long to say the crackers part.
The delay. The delay to me.
Next up, I'd like to welcome Brian Lewis, our Executive Director of Operations, for a report of our emergency response drills and emergency readiness. Good evening, Brian.
Good afternoon, or good evening. I'd like to take a moment, veer off agenda here, and let you know that we received clearance to reoccupy all the buildings at SVLC today. That is, we need to make sure that the furnishings that we removed and the cabinetry we removed are put back in place and start working on a plan to bring the students back. So we'll be doing that over the next week.
That's awesome.
Good news. Okay, so every year, our board policy requires that we make a presentation to the board regarding our emergency preparedness and response. This is part of policy 3432, which is a reflection of the RCW that I list up there. Both of those were attached to the board agenda if you wanted to read more about those. Bottom line is it requires that we practice safety related drills every month that we're in school. This includes summertime as well. This year we did a fire drill at Arlington High School during summer school. It was really more of an actual fire response. The student pulled a fire alarm pull in the building and we evacuated. So they did the right things. A real event is better than a drill.
That counts.
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
The rest of the year, we, regardless of the number of real events that we may happen in a building, we do also practice drills for these specific types of events: shelter in place, lockdowns, and evacuations. Those are what's required by legislation, but we do more than that. And the other responses that we have are earthquake drill and reunification plan. And the drills themselves, they don't necessarily have to be a physical act where we evacuate a building or perform a lockdown or a lockout. Those are all can be talked to with a tabletop kind of scenario. We can also just talk about it with the students. That would count as a drill as long as we're doing them with the frequency that's required. Generally, we don't do those things. We generally do the physical act and practice to build that muscle memory. EMART is a team that's made up of specific staff members across the district, building principals or assistant principals. We also have support services, transportation, tech, and SRO sit on the EMART team. EMART is an acronym for Emergency Management Response Team. It's a committee that I operate. We meet every month and we practice and talk about new developments in emergency management within the building. This is an example of an agenda from our first EMART meeting this year. You can see that we're preparing at this meeting. This was in August. We're preparing for practicing drills for the rest of the year. Getting ready for an earthquake drill on September 25th, between 10 and 12, just so you know, if you're in a building, one of the school buildings during that time, you're going to be practicing for an earthquake, which would include drop and cover and then evacuation. Buildings have an option to conduct a reunification exercise if they want as well. At a minimum, I ask them to prepare for it. We're doing that at our next meeting, covering the principles of reunification with the building assistant principals on September 18th. So
we're very activist here. We're always want to make sure that we're honing our skills and prepared to respond to emergencies that happen in the building. One of the ways that we do that, you may have seen this in the past, but I wanted to talk about it with you again because last year we did add a new response, which is hold. Our responses for both reunification and emergency response in the buildings are modeled after the standard response protocol, which is published by the I Love You Guys Foundation. It's widely used across the country. It meets one of the goals of the incident command system in that we provide a common language across the district that also other entities like police agencies and other school districts use. So we're not recreating the wheel, and there's some commonality across all of our buildings. So if a teacher or staff member move from one building to another, we're not introducing new language to them on how to practice for response to emergencies. We did add the hold function last year. Hold is basically keeping everybody wherever they may be. If they're inside a building, in a commons area, or inside a classroom, or outside on the playground, we call for a hold and everybody stays in place until the hold is finished. The hold is designed to allow space for emergency responders, be it a medical emergency in a building or a maintenance issue that needs to be addressed or some other disruptive incident occurring, allows us to provide space for emergency responders to clear that incident before we start back with normal operations. It's not anything that's life-threatening or involves safety as much as we got a leaky pipe we got to take care of right now. That's an example. Or someone needs emergency medical services and we want to clear the way for an ambulance and staff to arrive, or fire department to arrive. If it was something that was dangerous to the student body or staff, then we would initiate one of the other responses, like a lockout, lockdown, or evacuate. This chart here, which we keep in all of our classrooms and offices, also it mirrors the response to emergencies page that you can find on our website. This is from our new web page, and it shows that same information partially. The rest of those responses are there. I couldn't fit it all on this slide. I want to share with you a video. Stop for a moment. One of our challenges here is evacuating injured staff or students from a building that has more than one floor. So we use what's called a multi-function or multi-story evacuation device. And this is from a training that we conducted last year. You can see the device. It's called a med sled. And it's basically a sheet of plastic, heavy-duty plastic, and it's got buckles staggered down the length of it so that we can place an injured person into this med sled and then wrap the sled around them and then secure them inside of it with the buckles. And then at the top, there's a carabiner and a length of web strapping that runs through the carabiner. We clip the carabiner onto a handrail in the stairwell, and then another person can be at the foot of the person that's being evacuated, and they can control descent down. This is intended to be used if the elevators are disabled. For example, if electricity isn't operating, or if there's an earthquake, we won't use an elevator. But we've still got to get people out of the building. This is one of the ways that we can do that. So this year we need to purchase this device for Howler. And at that point, all of our school buildings will be equipped with the med slides. And we generally have one at the top of each stairwell that ends at a door leading to the outside. So this is a movie. I'm going to just show you. This is a really fun training. So you can see it. You can see it in a training situation. It's pretty fun. But it's really important when, for example, if we've got a kid that has mobility issues, if they're in a wheelchair and we can't get them down the elevator and we can't lift them because they may be too big to carry, we can use a device like that to get them downstairs. And this works for adults as well. The ones that we have at Arlington High School are, that one is, that we showed there, it's more for a youth size. And once we have it on, it's going to be bigger. So we're continuing to roll this out in the district. Heller will be our last building, and I'm doing a training on this at Pioneer Friday. So all of our buildings will be trained on it. So that's the end of my presentation on emergency readiness. So if you have any questions about that?
We're all just excited about your announcement. Very good.
It's still the show.
Should have waited. That's good news.
No.
Okay, I'm going to move on then to my
Can I
next.
talk about the risk management?
What's that?
Are you done with your emergency readiness?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Would you like to move on to the annual review of risk management program?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
Okay, again, this is a policy-driven presentation. It's definitely helpful for you to have this information. Okay. So policy 6500 and 6530 both require us to have liability insurance in place in the risk management program, which is expressed in the liability coverage. It also requires an annual presentation to you as well about the liability program that we're enrolled in. We also have to have sufficient liability insurance to protect against claims for negligent or wrongful acts of its staff or agents. And that can occur in many ways. I'm going to go over some of those ways. Our provider is the Washington Schools Risk Management Pool. I'm going to describe to you the different forms of liability coverage that we have. General and automobile, you can see the different data different limits of coverage that apply to us. $10 million per occurrence for a general and automobile related incident. And something that I have to caution many employees about is that the automobile liability only applies to district-owned vehicles. It does not apply to privately owned vehicles. So if you're on a work-related trip and we offer you a vehicle to take and you decline and take your own, then our insurance does not cover your car while you're on that trip. It only covers the district-owned vehicles. Errors and omissions, again, $10 million per occurrence. This is for wrongful acts that may be committed by an employee. It does have specific application to the board of directors and that you guys adopt policies related to employment practices. Another coverage for employment practices, again, this also applies to members of the board of directors. This is for acts that the district employees of the district may commit in terms of sexual harassment, discrimination, wrongful termination, invasion of privacy, libel, slander, or defamation of character. And we have coverage for that in the event something like that does occur. There's also excess coverage, which is like an umbrella that covers specific events that are related to general liability, automobile errors and omissions or employment practices up to $30 million. But they cannot in an aggregate exceed more than $70 million. So it's a very generous coverage. Hopefully we never have to use anything like that. Because, there's money is a big deal, but there's the intangible effects of those kinds of incidents occurring that also cause damage to the district. This is a table showing our different costs for purchasing this property and liability insurance over the years. So you can see it's increased quite a bit. Fortunately, our allocation for state apportionment that's devoted to liability insurance has been enough to cover this cost. So we're not paying anything out of local money at this point to cover the cost of insurance. I want to go to a document that I included with the presentation, or excuse me, the board agenda. So this is from the member benefits guide, which was part of the board plate. And I want to talk about this chart in particular, you see this graph. And what it is describing is our experience modification factors. And experience modification factors is a numerical expression showing our performance in terms of these kinds of events occurring compared to the average of the group. And this is our group. This is the other school districts that are enrolled in the risk management pool. So I think there's 81 school districts here. I believe that's the number. So it's a fairly large group. A third of the districts in the state are enrolled in the Washington Schools Risk Management Pool. So comparatively, if our claims amounts were to exceed the average of this group, then we would be above a 1.0. If our claims are less than the average of this group, we're below 1.0. So you can see the four columns to the right, errors and omissions related to sexual abuse and molestation, errors and omissions other, which is the items like that I talked with you earlier about, the different kinds of coverage for errors and omissions. Employment practices and auto liability are all well below 1. And you can see we're actually in the 90th percentile in terms of performance there. Only 10% have performance better than us, or we're in the top 10%, excuse me, for the entire state or the entire pool. That's really good. That means not only are we saving money in terms of premium, but those events that generate those kinds of claims are not occurring here. On property and auto, still in the top 80%, or excuse me, top 20% performance-wise, and then general liability, we're in the top 50%. So we've got some room to grow there in terms of improvement on general liability. Insurance is always frustrating because you think you're having a great year, and then March happens and you get an act of vandalism at Post Middle School that results in $80,000 in damage to the HVAC system there. So you can never tell when these things are going to happen, but they do have an effect on our premium at some point in the future. So all this is included in the benefits guide for your review. Oops. Yes. Go ahead.
So on the second page after the one that you just showed on that little pamphlet,
Yeah.
it talks about like our different groups. What does self-insured retention member mean? And I noticed that it's the 4 biggest school districts in the state. I'm just curious what that means. Because I was looking over that packet, over the last 4 or 5 years, our claims have only equaled like 350,000, is that? And so we're paying 1.5 million a year for 350,000 over 5?
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm just curious.
That's just our claims. That does have, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it
That's
does
fine.
have some effect on our premium. What counts more for our premium in terms of changes to the premium is what does it cost to restore a building? For example, if we had an earthquake and all of our buildings were damaged, what would it cost for us to rebuild? That has a huge effect on what our premium costs are. So we have a benefit in keeping our premium, or excuse me, our claims low, in that it does have an effect on our premium costs. But it's really, it takes years for that change in premium to show up, either good or bad. With that table that I showed you, that's looking back over a 14-year period. So small changes occur over long periods of time. Now, to directly answer your question about self-insured retention members, these are folks that have had events that occurred before they became members of the pool, and they have a certain amount of money set aside to cover those events so that the pool is not sharing the costs of those events. Good question.
Other questions? Thank you for keeping us informed.
Thank you very much.
This is our second reading and adoption of Board Policy 3210, non-discrimination and inclusive schools. And we'd like to welcome back Eric DeYoung. Do you have a football player by chance that maybe scored a few touchdowns on Friday night?
I do, sorry. It's the only time I've sat on the visitor side.
How'd the band sound?
Great, actually. I hear it really well. Okay, so these are policies we looked at last time, 3210 and 5010. They're both basically the same in terms of the changes. We added in the new categories for protected class. So those are the ones you see. That's really the only, other than some references at the end. That was it. So no changes from the first reading. If there's any questions at all anybody had since then, but otherwise we're.
I don't hear any questions. I don't hear any requested changes. These are action items. These are student advisory votes. So we're just gonna do one at a time. The first one is 3210. Student advisor Phillips, how would you vote for this one?
Yes.
Yes. And student advisor Van Beek, how would you vote for this one? Yes. And then do we have a motion to?
Okay, well, thank you. I make a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of Board Policy 3210 on discrimination in inclusive schools.
Second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to adopt Board Policy 3210. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond?
Aye.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Watts? Yes. President Levesque? Aye. Director Knapp? Aye. 3210 is approved. Thank you. And for the next one, Board Policy 5010, how would our student advisors vote for this one? Student Advisor Phillips? Yes. And Student Advisor Van?
Yes.
And do we have a motion? Thank you for our student advisors.
I make a motion, we pass second reading and adoption of Board Policy 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Watts to approve Board Policy 5010. Director Diamond?
Yay.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Yes.
President Levesque? Aye. Director Knapp?
Yes.
5010 is approved. Thank you. Eric, next up is our informational items, and we'll start with our superintendent's report.
So with the opening of schools, that means that we have a lot of activities going on as well. And I mentioned football, but we have other sports that are taking place. We have volleyball, boys tennis, girls soccer, and cross country for boys and girls. A lot of activity. This week, we have our first student advisory council meeting on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we have our first advisory council for education committee meeting. And as you know, the student advisory council is made up of students from the middle school and the high school that come together and we problem solve and work together on things. You know, it's great. And the advisory council for education is really tasked this year, first part of the year, to do contingencies plans for post middle school. So that's the focus. Great first week. We're not quite through the first week. I mean, when you count a full week, we have 4 great days of school.
Thank you. So exciting. Next up is our legislative update and discussion. Director Kelly, anything to share?
Not much to share, just, it was interesting, a friend of mine who's on the Stanwood School Board, and I think she's on resolutions committee or something, and she texted myself and maybe another school board friend if we were attending the session at the end of September for the resolutions that we come up that we give to the legislature, General Assembly. And she said, and I said, yes, and she said there was only 81 out of 295 schools that have committed to attending so far. And that,
Can you do it virtually?
yeah, it's only Zoom now, and honestly, it used to be Friday and Saturday, and now it's just all Saturday. But it did feel for a time what they were trying to do to be equitable was to have it 1 year on the east side, 1 year on the west side of the state, and they would rotate. But I think there was a little bit of a coup, because it sounded like, from what I could see on Zoom, that there were people rushing the stage to voice their opinion. And that particular vote was, I think, where we as all the members were deciding, should schools with more students have more weight in the vote? And I said, no. I supported one member, one vote. And that was controversial. So it was interesting how that shifted the balance a little bit. And anyway, so they've gone to full Zoom. I think there was trouble with that because, as you can probably guess, if you have funds, which higher enrollment, higher income school districts would support sending their board members and their representatives to other locations, whereas Zoom, it's equitable for all. So I thought that was just fascinating, just a little observation. So I'll find out if those numbers grow. I would like to think there's going to be more participation, but then I scratch my head a little bit and I wonder why would people not attend General Assembly? It seems very, very low. And just even understand the statistic of where has it been. Generally, it's been pretty well attended from what I can say. So, and I'm looking forward to us going in November. That'll be great to be our new members to go to Seattle, our hometown. So that'll be kind of exciting. Looking forward to that. And I did get the update about, I think from Gary, just where we are and applying for outstanding board of distinction, I think is something where
It was in the board update.
Yes, I was reading that, so anyway.
Oh, yeah, it's.
And now it looks like it's coming from Gary.
Well, I know how to fix that.
Sorry, Gary, giving you a little credit.
No, I know how to fix that now, because we have a new system and we're working on that. It came from, but you know, it said it came from Gary. It didn't.
Turning red.
But here we're blessing the messenger instead of shooting the messenger. Anyway, it's good. It's great to hear that and whatever we can do to be the most effective board, for our students. It's good. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Next, I'd love to hear comments from the rest of the board. I'd like to start with our student advisors. This is a great opportunity to share any concerns or excitement or any ideas or anything you heard at school that you want to pass along. So let's start with student advisor Phillips.
The first 4 days have been great so far. There's been a lot of movement, like everyone's trying to get the right classes and everything. But everyone seems to be settling in so far. We're starting to get back into our space and starting to pick up that education again. Personally, I've been having a lot of fun with it. I had a club meeting today and everything. I'm part of Skills USA for child development. So that was really fun getting back to my rhythm.
Good, thank you for sharing. And Student Advisor Betty, what can you tell us about school so far?
It's a little stressful. This is my senior year, so I'm just kind of realizing that after get together about like what I want to do after high school. So I'm like, yeah, but so far I've had a blast at school, getting to go to all my classes, seeing all my teachers again, and today's first day of Snow Isle, so I'm back for my second year. And all the kids are the best on, like, it's all their first year and they're just all excited about it, and yeah, I just love getting to know all you guys too, get on the board. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We look forward to hearing lots from you about your experiences and any ideas for improving our schools that you can think of. So thank you for sharing. Next up, Director Diamond, would you like to share anything? How's school for you?
It's all right. It's been a calm start. It's been nice getting kind of back into the groove. I don't realize how much I miss school. Like, I love summer break and I love breaks, but I also miss the routine and consistency and kind of like the beginning of the year. And once we like fall into that groove, everybody just, you know what I mean? Like, you just feel like, okay, now it's time for a break. So it's been nice to get back into it. I'm excited for this school year. Just to kind of see what's happening. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of changes this year, so.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. Director Kelly, anything else you'd like to add?
I had my boss and my superintendent walk in today, and the kids were angelic. And I will take no credit. I will take no credit. I just have a really good crew. I'm happy to have a good crew, but I've really done nothing organically with this bunch. But I do feel like I spent a good portion of my summer being mentally committed to making changes with myself, my practice, and taking what I learned here as a board member into my classroom. And maybe that will be even more evident this year, and kind of just taking a breath. I'm on year 5, so just kind of like, we're here to learn. We didn't need to rush this. Let's just, Sue Krause even said that if you go slow to go fast or something. So we just kind of immerse myself, get the routines down, and then we'll dive in a little deeper. That will come. So just, yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks for sharing. Director Knapp.
Maddie, thank you for saying that you're happy to be here, because I'm so happy to have you here and have Alex here, so. Anyway, we got to, two of my kids that go to SVLC, we got to go on campus because that's where we were having our middle school parent meeting, and they were amazed because they hadn't seen pictures of the ramps, and they were just like, wow, the ramps and the painting and then the sidewalks, because I didn't realize what a difference that would make, having flat surface to walk on. We were using that part of our brain with the divots and walkways. So it's just beautiful. So, and I'm super excited to hear the news tonight about that. Because today we had our first day of remote learning. My oldest is at the high school, but the two that were at this VLC, we did remote learning. And I have to say, I really appreciate the teachers and all the work they put into that. And it was just seamless. Everything went just as planned. So for us anyway. And we even had time to go down and see the Goodyear blimp down at the airport. I said that seeing the blimp was a sign that it was going to be a good year. I thought my mom joke was super cringy. So that was awesome. You agree? It is cringy, but
It's the blimp.
at least I know they're paying attention. So anyway, that's how it's going for us.
Thanks for sharing. Director Watts.
I just want to share that District Day, that band was remarkable, and it just blows my mind that 120 plus kids. When Lucas in 2022 started band, there was like 60 to 70 maybe.
Nice.
And so it's grown that much, and I just love to see the arts thrive because there's a place for everyone.
Yep.
And it's not always sports, so. And they sounded incredible, and I think I hummed marching tunes for the rest of the workday, so. We had the Jacob off for his first junior year, and so he's got a positive attitude, which is awesome, and I think not having the shadow of older brothers there will be a good thing for him. We had a 12-hour relay on Saturday for the team fundraiser and lots of food and fun activities and just kind of kicking off. Our first meet will be Saturday at Sea Home. I'm so very excited to be back out there with the families and the kiddos and the coaches, cheering them on. And we move Luke in next week, which will be an emotional but tissue ready
Launch meeting.
go. Yeah, and he'll be with his big brother up there. So I'm excited for him and his best friend will be roommates up at Western. We're getting very interesting decor ordered right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Value Village, here we come.
Yep, get that.
So fun to have our little babies grow up
Mhm.
and sad all at the same time.
Yeah.
I just want to share that my kid also made it to school. We're really excited for my baby to be a senior this year, and he turns 18 on Saturday, and got a lot of check boxes, lash this and lash that, and it's been an incredible experience to live in Arlington for 20 years in the same house and put all my kids through the school system here. That's why we moved here when we were house hunting, when my husband got a job around here, and we moved up from Vegas 20 years ago this week. And we looked at all the school districts and we decided Arlington looks like a great place to live. And so houses were cheap back then, cheaper. And it's been an incredible journey of having all 6 of my kids get their education here in Arlington and thrive. And it's just been an incredible journey for us. What's been on my mind lately is the last school board meeting that we had 2 weeks ago. And I've been doing a lot of pondering and reflecting of how we can be better, because we're always looking for improvements, and I'm still thinking about all the public comments and the letters that people wrote, and how we can improve things and how we can work with our community and help support everybody who has a voice and listening to them. And sometimes it feels a little bit scary to have people come to the board meeting and criticize some decisions we make. But really, I like to look at it as that they care very much about our community and about our kids. And they come to us and they tell us what they want to have better because they just love their kids and they love our community. And I just really wanted to share that I listened and I learned, and I want to do better at listening and partnering with our community and working together to make improvements. And I'm still thinking about ways to improve, and my own heart hurts when other people's hearts are hurting, and I want to make this a better community for all of our kids. Even though my kids are basically all adults, I still care about all of our kids. I just wanted to share that. I know our last meeting, the audio cut out, and a lot of our comments just kind of, were lost and gone. But I know that everybody cares and shared their deep commitment to this school and this community and this district and our students. And I just want to say that I'm still thinking about it and still lots of things on my mind. So I just want to share that. Our next meetings coming up is in 2 weeks on Monday, September 22nd. We have a study session at 4 p.m. upstairs in the Lincoln Room. And then we have a regular board meeting at 6 p.m. right here in the board room. And if there's nothing else, we can have a motion to adjourn. Second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to adjourn the meeting. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond?
Aye.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Yay.
President Levesque? Yay. Director Knapp? Yes. Meeting's adjourned. Drive